It'll be 1 to go this time by. Coming to the green, buddy, coming to the green. Let's go get him. Go, 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 dig, 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 go, 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 go.
Get your motor running. Head out on the highway.
Tom. Jeff, Tom Jensen, SpeedTV.com. We've raced a new car for a year and a half now. How much better is it than it was when it debuted here a year and a half ago? And is it any less knife edge where you lose the handle so easily?
It's still really easy for it to get away from you. You know, if you listen to teams during races, if you watch teams during practice, you can hear the frustration. This is a very difficult race car to get your hands around. It just is. It's got a high center of gravity. It's heavier. It's aerodynamically, it's quite a bit different than what we're accustomed to. It's a huge challenge. We've made improvements on the car. You know, the teams have made improvements and learning how to set them up. There's no question about that. But you know, if we could whip out a car 2 years old and wear this thing out, I mean, we just could. But you know, it is a huge challenge for the teams. You know, it just is. It's not a negative commentary on it. It's just it's so different, you know, that it's harder to make work than the old car.
Kind of a follow-up. Is it as much a struggle to get the setup right for a whole race long as it was when you started out?
I think it's a struggle. It's a struggle for the whole race, but you see some teams being able to do it. That means it can be done, and it's a struggle, more of a struggle from week to week. You know, you see teams running really, really, really well, and then a week later run not so well. So, you know, it's hard to have a baseline and always use that baseline.
Go ahead.
Jeff Burton, Brian Smith, Bristol Herald Courier. Could you compare the car tomorrow, last August, a year from now, to when you raced in March at Bristol and where it's at now?
I mean, honestly, it's the same car. You know, NASCAR hadn't really made any changes to the car. There's no. I mean, before I say that, I'm sitting here thinking there hasn't been any major changes that NASCAR has done to the car. Any improvements that have been made in the teams learning how to work with the car. So, you know, there's some teams that would walk in here today and tell you that there's been no improvements because they haven't been able to make improvements, and there'd be teams that could tell you it's a lot better because they've been able to make improvements, you know, to how their car drives. And that's just going to vary from team to team what their answer is.
We got three more. We got Mike, Nate, Bob. We'll see if we can work you in, maybe. Go ahead.
Okay. You were being rude in class.
Mike Embry, NASCAR Scene. Jeff, having said what you said earlier, if you owned a Cup team and you had a spot, would you put Joey Logano in it, or is he kind of being thrown to the lions too early?
I'd put him in it in a heartbeat. I wouldn't. How do I say this without being rude? When I say that I think it was better for me to do it the way I did it, that doesn't mean you can do it like that today. If you've run the Nationwide Series for 4 or 5 years and haven't had much success, there's not many people like that getting Cup rides today. But that was common when I did it. It's common now to take a kid that you think has talent and put him in it. So if I were the Gibbs group and that seat were available, that would be my candidate. I'd put him in there and I'd put my arm around him and say, "We're with you. You know, this is going to be hard. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be tough. We got you back. You know, don't try to do more than you can do." And I'd send him on his way. I don't know. I mean, I hate to answer that question. I think that he's going to have a great advantage in getting into equipment that is really, really competitive right now. They can put him in equipment. They're not going to have to be searching for something as he's learning. And don't forget, I mean, I don't know how many laps that kid has in cars, but it's a lot. I mean, everywhere I go to test, he's there. So, you know, he's got a lot of laps in these cars. The biggest adjustment is just going to be how competitive it is. You know, when you run 18th in a Cup race, you're in the middle of the dogfight. when you run 18th in a nationwide race, you're running really poorly. So it's just it's a whole nother world. The competition from top to bottom is just so much more competitive. Adjusting to that is going to be the biggest thing.
Go, Bob.
Thank you, Kerry.
You're welcome.
Jeff, I was wondering if you've given any thought to the new schedule next year, and could you give me some pros and cons in your mind of having that break at the end of the summer, going right before the chase?
Well, maybe y'all can answer a question for me, because I've looked at the schedule, but how do we get an extra weekend off?
Calendar. It's where Labor Day falls.
So are we running longer, or?
No. Just the way the calendar falls, Jeff.
Well, I like the calendar falling like that. I was torn between looking at it and seeing 4 weekends off, thinking, well, we're running an extra week, and we've done it over. Anyway, I don't care when the weekend. I don't care that the weekend is off before the chase starts or before this or before that. The thing I haven't liked about our weekends off prior to this year was you'd run 2 races, get a weekend off, run 2 races, get a weekend off, and then run, 2 marathons. That's horrendous for all of us. All of us need to spend a little more time with their kids, a little more time with their wives, and having, I know it sounds silly, but having one off weekend is huge, and being able to spread that thing out and just kind of get back centered into what's really important in life. So, I wouldn't care if we raced from late January to late November and race the same number of races and have more weekends off. To me, I think all of our quality of life would be better because of it. From a performance standpoint, competition standpoint, I don't think it really matters. But from a personal standpoint and getting our crew members and you guys and NASCAR and everybody where they can spend one extra weekend at home a year, I think that's a good thing, a real good thing.